Hello everyone, Howard Yates here. Welcome to this webcast about Anaplan used in a business process where collaboration is absolutely fundamental, and we're going to work around the scenario of promotional pack planning. I'm joined today with my co-host Sanjula, Krishnan, and myself. I specialize in planning and business modeling and work quite frequently with Anaplan and have completed a number of projects, as indeed has Sanjula. So agenda for today is we're first going to outline the general case that such a solution as we've been working with is applicable for, and then we're going to detail the specifics of the project that we worked on, and you hopefully be able to see the relationship between those. Then we're going to show you two demonstrations, and then we're going to swing back to just reviewing the situation that our client was in before we developed the project, and afterwards just to see what a transformation they made before we're signing off. So let's investigate that general case. We think of this kind of solution being applicable to something that we've termed a special project. So it's a project where the design of it is central to the success and to the appeal for the customer, but that requires lots of inputs from many individuals, and those inputs are all going to be complementary, but it all needs to come together in a very sort of collaborative fashion. Why does a central planning application make sense? What else is a really good driver for some value out of that? Well, not only the team activity, but if you've got a high volume of projects and there's a lot of complexity with those projects, then you really need to have something that is going to streamline the process. By complexity, that is going to lead to the creation of lots of rethinks and experimentation. So we need to be able to deal with different versions. And all this needs to be piped through a very clear process where everybody has got unambiguous information and knows what to do at the right time and when they're needed. It lends itself very much to where the product needs to be delivered in quick time because there is market opportunity. And more generally, we're looking to really create a high productivity team that can deal with this high volume and bring down efficiency and therefore costs. And lastly, let's not forget about commercial rigor. This is about ensuring that all these projects are profitable or we're getting the long-term benefits that we're really seeking. So how does this general case apply to our case? Well, first off, just say that this other cases that could be picked up by this general case could be something like events, such as a conference where you've got lots of different parties that need to feed into the configuration of that overall event. It could be something to do with fitting out some sort of property or vehicle where the customer makes options and you've got to make decisions about what is appropriate for that context. So a big team effort, but in a very repeatable, high volume manner. So our scenario actually was around gift or promotion packs, which are illustrated here. These aren't the actual packs we used. These are just sort of examples to give you the idea. But the key part of them is that they are effectively an assortment of products that the customer is already selling in singles. So there is a decision around which products are going to be pulled together for the customer, and that's going to be done in conjunction with the customer. Just looking more detailed at that process and the challenge, this is a chart outlining the business problem. So fundamentally, we're taking products which in our case came from a huge catalog of products right down through long hierarchies down to individual SKUs, and they were coming together in these projects and taken to the customer. And in fact, the whole project was being shaped initially by the sales reps and the customer. And obviously the sales reps needed to have a good understanding of what products were available and what might be appropriate for the organization in terms of fashioning a project. So interaction there. Secondly, there was the marketeers. They also had an interest in getting the right selection of products into that project because they had a marketing strategy. They were building brand. They were wanting to get the new products into these packs so that the end consumer could be experiencing something new and potentially forming a long-term relationship there. But also the planners. The planners really acted as the project managers, the coordinators of the whole project, liaising with every party. But they also had to liaise with other systems that were going to pull in relevant information, but more in an automated fashion, as became clear. That they needed to pull in information like what is the supply possibility of different products, so that we know we're confident in being able to deliver on particular components that are going into the project. And lastly, we have finance. So finance are bringing the commercial sense. They want to gather key pieces of information from the project, such as the volumes and the sales, what the unit costs of the components that are going into the project are, so they can all be costed up and we can be clear that there is commercial sense in proceeding with the project. Now we're going to do two demonstrations. I'm going to do the first one, which is really a stylized example about how you would facilitate the collaborative operation between the different parties. So it's simpler than the real application, which my colleague Sanjula will be demonstrating, and that's going to get across actually some of the real-world complexity, and you'll see how that builds on the relatively simple application that I'm going to show. So now I'm going to step into our application, which is on the Anaplan platform. So Anaplan is a web-based tool that allows you to do all kinds of things. It's fundamentally a business modeling tool where you can put lots of logic and structure in, and that can be turned to all kinds of different disciplines in a similar way that a spreadsheet can. But it's in the cloud, and it allows you to choose what can be changed and what can't be. And this is essential to the success of this project. In order to mimic the different roles, I'm going to actually undertake all of the 4 roles today as an administrator, and that will also show up a few screens that you wouldn't normally see as a normal user. First of all, I'm going to go in as a salesperson who probably would only see the first 2 buttons on this menu. I'm going to launch the first dashboard, which is allowing the sales rep, to create a new project. So at the bottom, we've got some projects that have not yet been built and configured by the salesperson, and I'm just going to actually just create the very first record for the new project. So Anaplan is giving me the next project number, so we maintain uniqueness in the system. We're going to do something around showers and the fact that it's hot in the summer. So I'm going to call it summer hot spell, and I'm going to put an S in front of. So it's asking me what category this is broadly going to fall in. What customer are we going to do it for? And then those 2 things are already driving, well, which planner is going to be allocated to this particular project. So I've got that relationship in another screen I can show later. Just need to identify who I am, how many units we're expecting. This is from negotiation with the customer. What we think we're going to sell it for, and then the FDTC, which is the first date to customer. So this is when the project is going to go live. So if I'm happy with that, I'm then going to move that information down to the bottom here so that it's ready for being built. So running the process, which is logging that project, and then we can move to the next stage of actually building the project. So you can see my summer hot spell is ready now, and I can start to enter a number of things associated with the build of that particular pack. So I'm going to go for a body wash, and I'm going to go for a shower, and I'm going to go for Earth Tones, which is my brand. Now, the system's telling me that I don't need to enter the next level down for brand or indeed for size. This is just what I need to do. And I need to put some quantities in. So I'm going to have a combination pack, and I'm going to copy all those. My pack's starting to take shape. Then I'm going to sign it off by saying that's the one that I'm now finished with. And you can see it's now disappeared off my inbox list of projects that I need to build. Hand it over to marketing so that they can do the next stage of the process. So I'm going to go back to the main menu and take on the marketing role. So over to marketing and the project build. So they see the summer hot spell event in their inbox, along with all the other things that they need to do. And they need to fill out their part of the pack build in a similar fashion. So lots of brand information to choose from here. And this pick list is driven by what has already been selected. So if you're dealing with a very large hierarchy, then clearly this is helping your productivity by cutting down onto the things that are actually relevant here. So I'm just going to choose a selection of these. And then again, it's giving me the sizes that are relevant. Not all the same sizes for all the same products. And then when I'm done, I say, yeah, happy with that, ready to pass over to next stage, which is the planner. Now the planner is going to do these blue boxes, which are around the SKU. That drops off my list, so hopefully it will appear in the planner's inbox, and indeed it does. So summer hot spell is there, so we've got all the information that was previously entered. So you can see lots of data I'm going to navigate through here, but I can see these are all the SKUs that correspond with the brand and the category choices and the sizes that I've made thus far. So I can put these in, and for speed, choosing fairly randomly. And in the course of doing so, the system is looking up the standard prices that are associated with these SKUs, and they're not all quite the same. So it's pulling that through, multiplying by the quantity, and you can see that I've got a pack price now of £8.69 using our standard costs, which is then going to be compared with our expected sale price of £8.50 at the starter. So again, I'm going to sign that off, and we've got all the information now for a project. But we know it's likely to need some further work, so it disappears off that list. So let's go and have a look at it in the full built projects. So the summer hot spell has come up against Peter Planner, and you can see straight away that a financial check and hurdle has been run on the project, and is showing me that the revenue hurdle has been passed, but the profit hurdle has not. Not really surprising, given that the cost price is higher than the sell price. So we've got a problem, and therefore we're going to need to go into an iterative mode of working. And you can see how the iterations can work, given that we've got two versions of this Bonfire Night project down here. But because those versions are made explicit, we can track how they develop through time, and we can see what the very latest set of data is that we need to see. So finance also has its perspective. All that information that's already been entered just plugs away into the standard tests that they've set up, and you can see why any project has the hurdle results that it does, and it produces an immediate test that we can run whenever the project changes. And then just a little behind the scenes, in order to allocate the marketing reps and the planners, we can have a little algorithm behind the scenes that has just been driven off the parameters that have been entered, so that we can quickly allocate the right person to the task. So I'm going to stop there and now hand over to my colleague Sanjula, who is going to give you a flavour of what the real application was like, and all the additional complexity that comes over and above what I've just shown, which is essentially the core method in which we got different parties working together. Over to you, Sanjula.
Thanks, Howard. So in Howard's demo, you were able to see how a simple model works in Anaplan and how Anaplan could help with collaborative planning. In my demo, as Howard mentioned, I'm going to give you a flavor of how a productionized system looks like and show you some real-time complexities of bringing various information into the application, enabling the planner to have all the information they need. Again, as you see here, as a planner, I have a lot of activities to do. I have new projects which are in my pipe. There are active projects which are running. There are work-in-progress projects and other administrative tasks. But for today's demo, I'm going to just focus on one of the few of these key items and just the planner role. But the actual application will generally have other roles like your sales reps, marketers, and production planners, and other roles as well. So let's get started. So as a planner, when I start my application, I get to this view where I can see a list of all the projects that are assigned to me as planner. As you can see, I can click on my name and I can see all the projects assigned to me. So I have few which are already active, one which is being canceled. But now for this demo, I'm going to pick the example of Botanics Lip Care Twin Pack, which has two different projects under it. So it has just been sent to me by the sales team once the deal has been closed, and now it's in my plate to plan this out. So I'm going to click on the Botanics Lip Care Twin Pack 19A, and you can see there is a project description which says Zesty and Protect. Well, it could well be that they mean there are two variants of this twin pack. So what I'm going to quickly do is switch back to my variant view to see more details on what this means. So when I look here, I can see what makes up this product. So here is where I can find my project, which is Lip Care 19A, and you can see that the first one has Botanics Zesty Lip Gloss 3 ml items in that pack, and the B one has Protect with 2 items again. So that gives me some idea of what I need to do. So I'm going to go back to my view, and I'm going to plan out the different dates. So as you can see here, there is a standard set of dates that has been set, as if my first date to the customer is 10th of January 2020, I need to be doing all of these activities before I get to that date. So I'm going to set my targets. So this is just giving me more flexibility as to if there is any sort of exception, I can handle it. But in this case, I think it's okay, so I'm going to just set the same dates. So the moment I plug in the information, you can see my charts showing me where I am and what I need to do. So I should have been briefed about this project last month, but let's pretend that I was briefed on 8th of July instead of 29th of June. So that tells me I was overdue by 9 days. Then now, as next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan these 2 projects. So I'm going to do the same for Protect as well. And yes, I was briefed on 8th of July. And I'm also going to put some notes saying 6 months. Just a note for whoever else is going to pick it up from me. As next step, I'm going to just pass it on for the approvals. So in this case, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to just pretend that I'm planner. There is a lot of other roles who will be looking at it and verifying and providing the approval. So I'm going to pretend that it's all happening in the background and click this button to see how it's approved. So you can see that these 2 projects have been approved. So I'm good to start my next step. So I've got my approvals today, so I'm going to update that information in here. And this as well. So I'm all set for now. So my spec pack should have been done on 19th of July. That's why I see a milestone alert saying that I've missed a milestone. So this enables me to see where I am with my planning process. And as the next step now I've got the approval. My next step is to get this product set up in my ERP system. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to my view which will enable me to set those product schools and descriptions. So ideally, in the production environment, the ERP system needs to have the product name so that it can be productionized and produced and orders can be sent to different plants. So in this case, I'm just going to feed in a SKU number and pretend again that it's going to the ERP system. So now what I'm going to do is I have these SKUs from ERP for these two projects. I'm going to load it in. You can see that it's now disappeared from my list where I can plan the SKUs. And if I go back to my view, you can see that it has been added to ERP. And you can see the SKU names appearing in all of these, other information appearing here. So this is now active. Status has been changed. If I look at the project variant view now, I can see a SKU added to it and also the different components. So you can see that my BOM components have been associated with this parent SKU. You can see my production calendar as well showing up from week commencing 13th of October. So now I'm going to go and update the rest of the dates, and all of these are done. And as next steps, I need to get a quote for either packaging or production of this. So this is the life cycle of a new product as it came into my application and how I planned it out. Let's take a case of an existing application. What are the different things that I can do for an existing product? So in this case, you can see that this Clematized Essentials promo pack A, B, and C have been active, and let's take a look at what information they have with them. So you can see the dates have been filled, and here you can see the different BOM components for each of these live. And also, you can see the production of the product in the plant and what has been approved. If I take a deep dive, I can also see the status of that product and what is the stock position and what is the planned production and the various things associated with the production side of this product. Also, switching back to the main menu. So this is how you can look at your various information in one screen. So for example, in this case, you can see that two of the projects that I was working on, one was pre-approved and one which has just been approved and is live now. And you can also view the stock projections for the next 5 weeks, which helps you with the quicker decision making. And you can see what has been approved and what are the different KPIs that were considered for the approval of this project. And if there is any change required, you can switch back to these tabs to verify your details and make the change accordingly. In addition to this, you can also have a production view where you have a production calendar and whether the projects are in place and whether the contracts are there for your production. For live projects, there could be scenarios where for some reasons your product has been discontinued during the production cycle and you'll have to change the component of a BOM, which can be done from here. These are the different features that are there in this sample demo, and it's not limited to this. There are a lot more. However, due to the limited time that we have, I'm not going to be showing all of those features. But thanks for watching this demo. I'll now hand it back to Howard.
Thank you, Sanjula. So hopefully you've got a good flavor of what work we did on this particular project. I just wanted to swing back to what the situation was before we started. An overwhelming characteristic there was the fact that there was lots of individual silos of information, really driven by the fact that everybody was using Excel to maintain their own data sets and communicating with other parties around the projects via email and the telephone. So it's not surprising that there was a lot of duplication of the project information on everybody's desktop. And this was soon becoming out of sync and losing the track of how they've got to the state that they had arrived at, and indeed what the latest set of information was. So overall, quite a poorly controlled process, which led to individuals introducing their own variants of the process and doing things in their own different way. Anyway, they come to the conclusion that this was getting very time consuming and was the root cause of their slow delivery time, which they really needed to change in order to get their product to market that much more quickly. Post-implementation, they got a lot of benefits, and those come from three areas which really are quite connected. So the central cloud application approach really delivered the single version of the truth and cut out all this ambiguity and meant that there's a reuse of information that was keyed in at source. The enterprise application nature of it really allowed the users to change the data that they needed to work with, but they couldn't change the process. So we've got a single process being assured across the whole piece. That then drove the clarity of the information and the action that we needed from individuals. They were only asked for to do things that they needed to do and didn't need to attend meetings that didn't affect them. Thirdly, there was automated integration with other systems that was providing them with data. So that could be done in a very repeatable and confident manner. And that was not just the data, but also structures, as Sanjula talked about them being SKUs being passed to ERP systems for production, for example. And lastly, a universal process really gave them a platform for improvement. So as a starting point, if you've got a single process, everybody knows that process and you can talk the same language. But then you can go and really refine that process, make it better, because you know you're working with one thing. And indeed, this project did morph and have a number of offshoots where the related applications were able to then dovetail into the core workings of this particular application. And we're hoping to bring some of those to you in marketing events in the future. So thank you very much. That concludes our webcast.